Hey everybody, it's Jimmy, it's Matthew, and today our guest today is Mr. Perry Cooper, and today we have the pleasure of talking to him about his life and his journey throughout the 3D sphere art world. Enjoy the show. All right, I want to introduce a man originally from across the pond, but now chilling in the States. 3D motion designer Perry Cooper. Dabbling in Cinema 4D, Perry bends deformers to his will and creates these fun, playful animations that leave you feeling just a little bit happier after getting off the gram. Using the volume builder and volume mesher, Perry seemingly creates complicated geometry at will, leaving his own imagination to wander over the movement yet to be created. Producing daily renders for almost 5 years now, it's no wonder why Perry's imagination has attained beast status. Woo! And top of all that, he recently got into crypto art, selling out most, if not all of his pieces on Maker's Place, Known Origin, and Nifty Gateway. With all that to say, I want to start off by asking Perry a question. Perry, how are you, King? Woo!
I'm good. I'm good, thank you. That was quite the intro.
Off the dome.
Off the dome.
Totally didn't have this. Totally didn't have a phone.
Oh yeah, no. I believe you. Yeah, that was quite the intro. I'll have to write that down to add to my own intros.
Little bio.
We'll give you a transcript. Don't worry.
Yeah,
That'll be linked in the show notes.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, Perry. So, like we were talking before, I've followed you for quite some time. You're on Instagram a lot. You're coming out with these daily renders, and I guess for people who don't know, how would you describe kind of your own style, animation, kind of what you create?
I think. There's a dramatic pause straight away.
They're perfect.
I think I would describe it as I'm trying to create things that I find satisfying, that I enjoy, that I like have fun in making, you know, and then hopefully other people feel the same when they see it. That's kind of what I have thought about when I'm doing. Usually, what I'm trying to do is I think of techniques that I use it for work and things that I might want to show other people and think, how am I going to adapt that and bring that into something I can do on a daily basis? Now, not that I do things daily quite as often. I kind of take little breaks every now and then. I'm not like Beeple doing it every day for 13 years. It's,
He's insane.
yeah. So I've been taking the odd week off and I've been trying to spend a bit more time lately on crafting certain pieces and then putting those out in little sets of 3. I like doing these little triptychs, like there's three of each, because I like exploring the idea, you know, what could you do? Like, why do one completely singular thing each day when you could kind of explore one shape or movement or motion or something and do that multiple times? So that's what I kind of enjoy doing. I think it's like doing fine art back in the day. It's sketching. It's all about finding the line, you know, finding the perfect line. And that's what I'm kind of doing in a 3D way. Usually, you know, the third attempt is probably better than the first, or the second attempt's better. You're kind of just playing around with it, really. And then sometimes in the back of my head, I've got an idea that starting the YouTube channel last year, I've got an idea that maybe I want to think about how I would explain this to someone else. You know, so I've got this idea, how might I explain that to someone else? So then I kind of create something knowing that I'm going to explain how to do that.
And as a viewer of the YouTube watcher, what does watcher even mean? As a viewer, I really appreciate that, because it's like you're putting yourselves in our shoes and you're like, okay, if I had no idea what this was about, how would it be explained to me? And I was before we got on this, I was watching your I was watching one of your tutorials about the Apple Watch, and you had this like 3D graphic, and you're using Octane, you know, the unbiased render engine. But what you like articulate very well is that like you're using this holographic kind of kind of, I don't know, interface, and
Yeah.
that's not natural, but you still accomplished the same mission, and you did that while explaining it very well and very clear, concise, not like a 2-hour long tutorial, which I appreciate.
I'll have to go watch it back. After I've done it, I don't, after I've done it and edited it, I don't watch it again.
You're done with it.
I'm the same way. I'm honestly the same way. When I do stuff, I can't really like look at it. I don't know. And especially, I don't know, do you feel that when you do daily renders, is that like you have a task and it's just about completing the task and then getting done with it?
Yeah, and sometimes I will think, oh, I should have done that differently. I should have done that in a different way, or maybe I wasn't 100% completely happy with how that turned out. So sometimes I'll go back to pieces of work that I might have created a year ago or 2 years ago. This comes in points when I am lacking an idea as well. But I will go back and think, you know what, I should try and have a go at that again. Like, why not? If I can rip off anyone's work, I can rip off my own work.
Yeah, that's how you do it. We were actually talking about that last podcast about inspiration and where you get it from, and that's crazy that you would look at your own stuff.
Yeah, I think the give and take with the dailies kind of journey is that it, for one, on the pro side, it gets you to actually do something and finish it that day. Because even like you said, even if you're not completely happy with it, if you didn't have that goal to get it done and posted that day, then maybe you would have just put it off and maybe it will never get finished. And that's always bad. But at the same point, it feels like, at least for me, sometimes I give away some of my, I guess, artistic expression in a way that like I'm not doing this to the fullest of what I need it to be just because I need it to get done today.
And that's what it can feel like sometimes is, oh, am I doing this just because I should be doing, I've got myself into this rut of doing it every day. And some days your heart isn't in it, to be honest, and you just think, no, you know what, actually I'm just not going to do it today.
Sure.
Because I got the other issue is that you're doing this, but you've got a full-time job that you're doing. And you're trying to do that work, and especially if you're working on a computer all the time anyway, and then you think, I've got to set aside a few hours to do this piece, and I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do. And you think, oh, you know what? I just need to go make dinner and spend time with my wife.
Sure.
I've got to have a life outside of this,
Yeah, we actually talked about that a little bit with Patrick about how important it is to kind of like change your scenery sometimes and have a hobby outside of your hobby and also your work. So like what he would do is in the mornings he would go to Starbucks and then come back into his apartment because that's where he works from, and he would say, that's like me coming into the office, and now I'm at work. And so he does that for his hours, and then at some point he's done. But it's important to kind of get out of that your dark studio room every once in a while.
There's a picture on your Twitter. I can't find it. I really want to find it, but it's this meme, and it has like the two buttons, and one is like I'm going to relax, and then the other button is I'm going to do 3D work and call it relaxing.
Yes.
And I could not relate to that so heavily because I feel like that's the rut that we get ourselves in. It's just like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna chillax, do some fun after work, and then we're still doing the work.
Yeah, I know. And you can end up sitting there and thinking, what? Yeah, this should be fun, but I'm not enjoying it. I'm really not enjoying it. I don't want to be a downer on
of course
what we do, what I do. It's just, I think you've got to be in the right frame of mind.
Absolutely.
And that's why I decided to break away from doing like totally every day, and just think, you know what, I'm just going to take a break, and rather than trying to force the idea, just when the idea comes to me, then think, oh, I should do something.
Right. I think that's really cool that you're morphing the same ethic but to your lifestyle, because everybody has different lives and everybody doesn't have the time to do it daily, but maybe we do have the time to do, like, for this week I'm going to create a theme, and I'm going to create a set amount of images, and giving the time constraints and deadlines for yourself. Because I know I have trouble with that. And with your work, you can absolutely see that through your what is it? When you create alphabetical letters.
Yeah. So there was the 36 days of type.
Yes, 36 days of type, right? Yeah. And then you have like different themes of like, I was looking back and you did one with space, and I saw you have like a bunch of greeble kind of textures layered out. I checked it out on Beyonce, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is so rad. His lighting is very crisp. I really dig that.
Oh, thanks. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just, I think it's sometimes also you see a technique or you see a tutorial that someone else has done and think, oh, I would like to do something like that to incorporate in my own work. So it kind of comes in handy. The other thing I use the dailies for, actually the original reason I started kind of doing dailies was because I don't use 3D every day in my work, my day-to-day work. And sometimes there might be a month might go by where I don't use 3D. So my idea for doing this was to kind of keep a hand in and make sure I keep doing it, because if you don't use a piece of software for a month or two and then you come back to it and you think, oh my God, I can't remember where the button is for this or where that is. So it's more just to keep me in that frame of mind of using it. And then when client work came up, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I feel like the actual daily part of it doesn't matter as much as the fact that you're just still doing it. So like Jamie was talking about, you may not do it every single day, but at some point you still have that drive to go back and do something at some point.
Yes.
And that's what matters the most. And that's, I think, at least for me, that's kind of the point of the dailies, is to make sure that I'm doing it, and to kind of keep that drive going, which is really important. And
talking about your why you started it in the first place, to keep your hand, and I love that, keeping your hand in the 3D sphere. That's so dope, because it's honestly like you gotta keep staying in touch, and so it's always on your mind. But could you give us a little more about this origin story? How did you get into this kind of design atmosphere of just your work?
Okay. Do you want? I've written notes on my life, as I said. Yes. So do you want the breakdown of how I got to where I am?
We want the full in-depth story.
Yeah, we want your how your parents fell in love, where you were born. We want the whole thing.
Okay, right. Page 1 of 1,000. I kind of came from a background of, in the UK, obviously growing up in London. Obviously our school system's slightly different to the way it is over here. So you have secondary school, which finishes when you're 16. And then you have 2 years, which are your A levels, so, which we would call college. And you're kind of deciding your career path at 16, because you choose 3 subjects for that. And then from those 3 subjects, you then will pick one subject that you'll do at university. So at university, you'll just do one thing for 3 years.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. So you're kind of choosing your path quite early. Yeah. Whilst I know in the US, obviously, for speaking to my wife and friends over here, it's obviously different. You've kind of, your options are more open for longer.
Yeah.
So when I was like 16, I was doing design technology, which was like, I guess, like product design, like the start of that, like learning how to use the CNC machines and lathes and doing vacuum forming and, so 3D in real life.
Nice.
And that's where I kind of started using 3D software packages, because they were attached to like the CNC machine to actually, you could build something in 3D and then it would kind of drill it out of the wood.
Wow.
Nice. A piece of wood, and then you take it out, neat. Sand it down, and then you might use that in a vacuum former, something like that. And then I was also doing art and business studies, and because I felt like I'd want to do something businessy down the road, but I wasn't 100% sure what I wanted to do. So then when you finish A levels, you can then choose what you want to do. I knew I wanted to go into the arts, but I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. So you can go to art college for a year and do an art foundation. And what that means is like you can just try all the different types of art out there. So you can do some fine art, some sculpture, some 3D, some I don't know, film, all sorts. So then you can kind of maybe like fix your passion for what you actually want to do. So from doing that, I decided I wanted to do film. That's what I wanted to do, leaving college. And I mentioned this on Twitter a little while ago that like the end of year show for art college, I did all my stuff actually. My end of year show at art college was all 3D based, 3D and video based. But it was all on my computer. But this was like when would that have been? 1999. So I don't think YouTube existed.
No.
Or like there wasn't. So I had to bring my computer into college and leave it in the big white room with all the other art pieces on. Just have my computer on loop for a whole weekend, for the art show. So and that was at the point when I kind of thought, am I doing the right job, or am I planning to do the right job? Because my girlfriend at the time, she was doing fine art, and she sold a painting for like, I don't know, £500 or something.
Oh, shoot.
Who's ever going to buy? How can I sell what I've got, on this computer? Like I put all this work in as well, but it's not, you can't
tangible,
sell it.
yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
Tangible,
At the time.
which obviously 20 years later, that changed.
Big time.
Talk about that later.
Nice.
So I decided I wanted to do film. So I went off to, so that was at art college. That was actually Ravensbourne University, which is kind of a technical art college, which is quite a cool place to go back to, because they hold events and things about, like, now they do all like VR stuff and all sorts of crazy things. So it's a good art college in London. And then I went to another college called university called Surrey Institute of Art and Design, which has now changed its name to the University of the Creative Arts. But that was in a little town in Surrey, and I went in planning to do film, and they said, "Oh, we've got this new course. It's like a digital type thing." I was like, I thought they were trying to fob me off with getting me onto some other course. I said, no, I want to do film. So I got onto the film course, and then I think I was a few weeks into it, and we were doing a class where they're showing us the old 16, like cutting 16 millimeter film on the reel-to-reel machine, whatever it is. And they were slicing it. And they said, "Oh, by the time you guys graduate, this will probably all be redundant." I thought, "Why? What am I here for then?"
Yeah.
Like, what? So then I switched onto the digital course.
Nice.
Which was basically film but with digital cameras.
Right.
That was the main difference. But I think I decided in doing that I actually like being behind the camera more, like doing the editing. I didn't really like the filming part. I like doing the kind of the back end part of it,
Yeah.
And then as the course developed, it became that it included more kind of digitally, like, interactive things. So I started using some software called Director, Macromedia Director, which is by the people that made Flash.
Oh, whoa. Rip
And
Flash.
so this is pre Flash.
Wow.
Flash.
And that was for creating CD-ROMs. So you could do interactive CD-ROMs, because obviously you had it on a CD, so you could, in a very basic way, you could do like a choose your own adventure game where you had a bit of video play, and then it would say, do you want to go left or right? And you press the button, then it would play the next bit of video. So it was very 90s kind of full motion video, like the games you used to get back then on PCs.
Classic.
And then, so that led me on to doing more of that sort of 3D interactive stuff. So we would do documentaries, but the final result was usually, rather than a film, I would kind of make it an interactive piece. So I think the first one we did was actually about the UK election in 2001, maybe. And we followed, there's a political party in the UK called the Monster Raving Loony Party.
Seriously? How extravagant.
Yeah. And they are, they're sort of like kind of an against the system kind of crazy party that, I mean, it's all for a joke, really.
Okay.
You'll see them whenever you see UK political elections. You'll usually see someone behind, like the Prime Minister, who's kind of got a big cowboy hat on. And,
I think we have somebody like that. His name is Vermin Supreme. He's kind of like the goofy guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he wears a.
Oh, no.
You haven't heard of him? He wears like a boot. He doesn't wear a hat. He wears a boot on his head, and his policies are he will give everybody a pony if his party gets elected. I don't know if yeah.
Well, I think they have things like that. Like one of their policies was pet passports.
Oh.
But then it turned out that actually happened. They do have pet passports now.
Wow.
So we
they
would go
made a
up
difference.
and yeah, I guess so. So we went and we would go up and film with them, and then when that was all done, I would kind of make an interactive piece, that would play it all, and then that led on to like my final piece for university was this about boy racers, which are like like the Fast and the Furious sort of. People that really soup up their cars and race.
Paul Walker, yeah.
So we did a documentary on those, and kind of spent some time with them. Like spent a lot of time in like car parks, filming in parking lots, filming people talking about their cars. Where they'd said they'd spent like £20,000 doing these cars up. But then you can't sell them because no one wants to buy them.
Right. Yeah.
But they're really cool, but only cool for like a very small number of people.
Yeah.
Very niche.
Very niche.
Yeah.
Very niche. How did you make the work? How was it interactive? What do you mean by kind of people interacting with it?
For instance, this Boy Racer piece, I think what we had is, and this is when I first started using Cinema 4D, I got a copy that was free on the front cover of a magazine.
Oh,
Wow.
Nice. Maxon did that. That's so cool.
Yeah, that was, I don't know what version that was, but it obviously was. It was a long time ago. So I had this free copy, and what we'd do is have, I think, for the Boy Racer one, because there's a lot of crashes and things involved, so we kind of set it in they had a hospital operating table with someone lying down on it, and then like a room next to it, and another. So there's a few kind of rooms, and you could click around the room. So you could maybe click on a magazine. The magazine would open, and then it would zoom in, and there was a interview piece on the video on the magazine. Like where the picture would be.
Yeah. Like
where
Harry Potter.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. And then maybe you'd click around, that you'd go into another room, and then there was some more video or other content, 3D content.
Gotcha.
So that was that, and then that led on to us. We got entered into a French film festival because this is called the Poitiers Film Festival in the south of France, and that year they decided that they were going to try and include this new media thing in the film festival. So we got we got a paid trip for a week in France.
Hey.
Heck yeah.
Can you imagine when we were like 20 years old?
Yeah.
Getting paid to go to France.
Sent to south of France for a week. Everything paid, all food and drink paid for.
Oh my gosh.
Messy.
Dude, living the dream. Must have been fun.
We didn't win the competition, even though we did try and we took the judge out one night and tried getting him.
Tried schmoozing.
Yeah, we tried it.
Nice. You have to. I mean, you at least have to.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do, man.
Gotta give it a go. Of
course.
Shoot your shot. Always got to shoot. Shoot.
So that was, and then I kind of after that, actually, that's when I taught myself. After leaving university, I taught myself how to use Flash because I was trying to think, how am I going to get a job? Like, I wasn't 100%
The ultimate question.
sure. Yeah, I wasn't. I kind of had. I knew I had these skills to do these things, but I didn't quite know what they were useful for.
Yeah, yeah.
So I worked for a company that were doing like a music festival, and I worked for a summer doing a website for them, like Flash based, and then through recruitment ended up working at an ad agency.
Okay.
Called iTraffic, and that was kind of my first ad agency, and then I've worked in advertising ever since.
Nice. I have a question about the.
Was that too long?
No. That was perfect. I have like while you were talking, like I was just building them. I got a lot of questions for you. Okay.
Okay.
So there's a specific kind of watershed moment at the very beginning you kind of skipped over, and that was choosing the design. How did you know that like that was for you, doing the arts, like going from, I think you said the A-list, was it, school when you were like 16?
We go from A levels. Well, I mean, when you're up to the age of 16, everyone does the same.
Right.
Subjects.
Right.
Within reason, you have a couple of choices, but everyone does the same subject. So, I mean, up to that, I've always kind of been interested in doing art, drawing. I wanted to be like a cartoonist when I was a kid. You know,
nice.
So I've always been interested in art and design. So I knew I wanted to do something.
Yeah.
But it just took a long time to work out, like, how do you live off of working in the arts?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Especially when it's like when you were doing the stuff on the computer, and I love the way you said that, like you brought your computer to where everybody else's like gallery pictures were and all of their work, and here's your computer with the digital stuff. I think that's classic of just putting your foot out there, even though this is a new medium, you're taking I think it's a risk, but you love it, and I think that's why a lot of people get in.
It was a risk because I was worried someone was going to steal it.
Yeah, expensive computer, for sure. Spending hours and hours of work on it.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Can you compare like the I guess cultural support for the arts between the UK and the US? Is it different, or is it more or less over there?
I guess I'm not 100% sure what it's like over here for, when you're going into university at a younger age. I think in the UK, I think it's pretty liberal country, and I think there's lots of opportunities to get involved in the arts.
Really?
I think it starts off even with the fact that in the UK, like all museums are free.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay.
That must be so nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when I was a kid, you could just go and see anything you wanted to as many times as you wanted to. I mean, living in London, I could go to the British Museum and see all the Egyptian artifacts, or go to the Portrait Gallery or the National Gallery, see all this work. There's no restriction. There's no barrier to entry when it comes to actually paying to go to these things, because it's all free.
So there's maybe like a more general appreciation, and maybe even just recognition of the history of art, and just it's a spectacle. It's like how people just go bowling or go to the mall. It's like let's go to the museum. It's free.
I think like I'm comparing your experience to mine, because when I was growing up, going to college for art was not the move.
It's very looked down upon.
It was strongly discouraged by my parents. They were like, "No, Jimmy, don't." Now they're just like, "Jimmy, go to college." Sorry.
Yeah, well, my mum did say, like, "Why are you going to university? Why don't you just go and get a job?"
Interesting.
This is what I wanted. Like, I'm not going to put down on my mum, but you just. I guess it was kind of. A bit looked down upon at one point in the UK, especially going to art college, because that 1 year I did, because going to art college is, it is just it is just mucking about for a year.
Yeah.
Really. But then that is the point. The point is you try all these things and you kind of see where you fall, you know, what you prefer, what you like, where your direction is.
Do you have anything to say, like, for people, I guess, who are in that position? And I think it's more of like, since we have, when we get out of high school and we kind of have like a few electives that we can choose from in middle school and high school. Do you have any advice for, I guess, choosing of like when to know it? Like, do you have to be like straight up addicted? like you have to be like so focused on, you know, the passion that it's for you? Is that kind of like a telltale of like, this is my purpose, destiny, you know?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Well, I think that, you know, I knew I wanted to do something in the arts. I knew I wanted to do something creative, you know, but I had no idea what that was. And that took me, you know, like 6 years to work out.
Wow.
You know, even when I left university, that's why I learned Flash, because I was thinking, how can I adapt these skills to something that's obviously going to pay me, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, at one point I kind of was a lot more liberal in my younger years, thinking, oh, I'm advertising. No, that's like working for the man. And then
Can't do that.
That's funny.
and then I was like, you know what? I need to pay for things.
Yes.
No, I get that.
I need to pay rent. You know,
Money
I
is
need
important.
to get a job.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm feeling that right
Yeah,
now.
I mean, it's amazing that you have found something where you can kind of have a creative outlet and still do that thing that you wanted to do, but you know, you can make a living off of it. And so it kind of segues into what I want to get into, is like the crypto art scene and how you've been involved with digital art for a long time. So you said like 99 is when you were getting out of university, sometime around there.
Well, I think early 2000s.
Early 2000s.
Was university, yeah.
So coming from then and up until now to 2021, seeing like Nifty Gateway and cryptocurrency and crypto art in general kind of like really starting to pop off, is that anything you ever envisioned, or like just how do you feel about that space now?
Well, I think it's pretty amazing, you know. I would have never have thought that something like that would have existed. I guess it's taken a while to get our heads around, you know, these cryptocurrencies, and then that's moved on to now these NFTs. And, you know, when it was Tommy first reached out to me from Nifty Gateway last year, and we had a video call, and he said, oh, let me explain to you what it's all about. And he explained it to me. I still didn't understand.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. I was just looking in my folders to see what projects I'd worked on last year, and the Nifty Gateway work is in like a commission job folder, because that's kind of how I saw it. Is that, they were just asking me to do some work.
Oh, interesting.
And I was going to do it, and I didn't realize, I think I wasn't paying enough attention, or I misheard, but I didn't say this to Tommy, but when he was explaining it to me, he was saying that, you know, we sell the artwork, and on the initial sale, I think the artist gets like 80% or 90% of the amount.
Right.
But when I heard him say it, I thought it was the other way around. I thought they got 80% and we got 20%. So when he said that, I didn't think anything of it. You know why? Because I think as artists or doing creative work, we're used to getting crapped on.
Yeah.
You know?
Getting the short end of the stick.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that sounds about right.
Wow.
So
So
you were just completely shocked with the 80% then when you found out, right?
well, yeah, I didn't find out until the work started selling, and I was getting the emails.
No way.
So I had to run to, my wife was taking a shower and ran into the bathroom and said, "You've got to come out and look at this computer."
Oh my God.
That must have been so awesome.
So like, walk us through that feeling of elation of like, almost your whole life is amalgamated up until this point of now from your girlfriend from that fine art that sold 500 pounds from her piece, and you're like, I'll never be able to make money off of my computer, to now your art selling. What was that feeling like?
Yeah, it was pretty amazing actually, and it kind of felt good that people would want to invest in your work.
Yeah.
You know? I remember opening a beer.
You gotta crack up a cold one immediately. That's what you gotta do.
That's what I did immediately. I was like, right, this deserves a beer.
Classic.
But yeah, it was a big kind of shift.
Yeah.
And I saw a lot of people online saying, "Oh, because people were talking about, you know, the amount of money earned by crypto artists, and people were like, well, when did doing art start becoming about making money? Why is the money so important?" I thought, you know what? Well, I've had to chase clients all my life for money.
Yeah.
You know, or people reaching out to you saying, "Can you do this ton of work, but for like, you know, $100
for a shout out?"
Yeah.
For nothing. Like, no, you know, it's like, it's people are talking about the money because people are so surprised they're getting paid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good distinction to kind of bring up, is like people in every other avenue of life, people understand that everyone has to make money. And that's like in every other kind of field, like job field, that's like the main concern for everybody is like, well, how much money are you making a year? What's your salary? Is that enough? Is that enough for my family? But for an artist, we just expect them to be like doing their stuff and then living out in the woods and doing
van.
nothing.
Yeah.
You know, like you just go barefoot into the woods and get inspired all day and you don't need any money.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, we're still trying to live the same lives, but you know, we're just doing it a different way. And the cool thing about the crypto art scene is that a lot of the people that are collecting are also artists themselves. So the value that they're putting into it is what they would want value being put back into. That makes sense.
Investing in itself.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've bought a few pieces from other people, but I think that's something that I'd like to do more of now. Is actually, I'm just waiting for my tax bill.
Yeah, I know.
I can see how much money I've got left.
Same here.
Yeah.
And you do have actually, I want to ask this question first. What's your favorite one of your? I would say Nifties. What's your favorite Nifty at the moment?
Well, is this what from Nifty Gateway or from anywhere?
From Nifty Gateway. What's your favorite piece that you've gotten? I can take a guess, but I want to see your answer.
Yeah, probably with a Beeple.
Yeah, Beeple.
Yeah.
You have
Which one? Oh, he got Into the Ether too?
Into the Ether.
Oh, man.
That's sick.
I love that piece.
Yeah, but I'm not planning on selling it.
Good.
Please don't.
That's exactly what Tommy said, because he has one as well, and he was like, "That's one I'm never selling ever."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting that one's one that comes with a physical piece.
Yes.
So looking forward to getting that and setting it up on my desk.
Do you get a lock of his hair too?
Well, yeah, apparently, but I don't know what that's all about.
I saw that on Twitter. He like puts a lock of his hair in the things, in the ones that he's shipping out. That's so funny. I guess it's to validate it. It's like, this is actually him.
Hey, this is really me. This is my DNA.
I mean, I might do some physical pieces, but I'm not too sure about the hair.
Yeah, well, maybe he's planning for the future, right? So 20 years ago, we didn't know that we could make money off of this, and now 20 years from now, maybe we can clone him with his hair.
What?
I think that's his plan. I think he wants Beeple clones.
More Beeple's people.
Beeple's
People's
that's what
people.
it is.
It's coming together.
It's all coming. We figured you
full
out.
Full circle.
Well, I hope you get in on that hair action. I really do.
Yeah.
I think that may be more important than you're letting on.
Yeah,
for sure. So going back to the just going off on crypto art and in general, what do you think do you feel like there's a responsibility for artists such as yourself in maintaining the community of maybe not just crypto art, but maybe just like abroad, because you've gained this kind of I don't want to say status, but the following, not pedigree, maybe, I don't know, hiatus of like, you know, you make tutorials, you're on the grind, you're out there making really good stuff, and is there some sort of responsibility to keep going? Does that make sense? Am I making sense right now?
What do you mean? Like, is it worth doing the other stuff when you can just concentrate on the crypto art? Is that what you mean?
Right.
Yeah, I think the crypto art has come because of everything else, you know. So I shouldn't feel like I need to leave the other stuff behind, you know, because that's part of. I made a conscious decision when I left the UK, because obviously I have a company I run with two other guys in London, and luckily because of the internet, I'm able to still work with them, with that company. And but when I came to the US, I was coming with no contacts, I didn't know anyone, you know, like work-wise. Like the rest of my career, that advertising career that I've had over the last 15, 16 years, whatever it is, that was built up on personal connections between people, you know, like working in one agency, leading on to working into another, and then we set up our own production company. And all of our clients and jobs and everything we've got is all not been based on doing our own advertising, but from word of mouth, you know, for those connections we made. So when I came to the States, I thought I really need to kind of get myself out there a bit more, just kind of advertise myself, you know?
Yeah.
So that's when I started pushing more into the dailies and putting myself out there a bit more to try and just make connections, to drum up. I didn't have an end goal. The end goal was more that, you know, I might attract some clients stateside that I can work with. Right. Bring them into the, you know, work with them within the company. I've forgotten your question.
Well, that kind of leads into what, I guess.
Oh yeah, what about doing it? Yeah, okay, right. Yeah. So it was, so I was doing that. So then like a year ago, usually in January we're quite quiet because lots of ad campaigns and marketing pushes are always due for Christmas or to start in January. You know, that's like a very busy time of year. So then January itself is quiet because agencies are kind of coming up with their new campaigns. So it's kind of a slightly quiet month. So that's when I started my YouTube channel like a year ago, like tomorrow, I think it was, the 29th.
Congrats.
Happy anniversary.
Yes.
Thank you. So I was thinking I should try and do a video today or tomorrow, but yeah, so that's when I decided, I think I'll do a YouTube channel. I'd thought about it for a long time about doing it, but I was nervous about putting myself out there. You know, you see how other people do tutorials and they get negative comments, and I thought, do I want to put myself out there? And then I thought, you know what? Sod it, I'm just going to do it.
Love that. So I have no, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I guess in a long way, what I'm saying is that the crypto art thing is almost a culmination of all of that, and it would be silly to leave everything else.
Gotcha. So
concentrate on that.
Right.
But I have built it into, obviously, when I do dailies, I'm trying to do that thing of putting more effort in, as in like, you know, wait until an idea comes and then try and do something really nice, rather than just trying to knock things out, you know, every day on a daily basis just for the sake of it. But then those pieces, I'm obviously thinking about it more as an artist now. I'm trying to think of it in that way, which I didn't really think about it before. When I did the first drop for Nifty Gateway, because I didn't know exactly what the NFTs were, once they all sold and I realized what a big thing it was, and it was only then that it dawned on me that, oh, this is like a proper legit thing. And all these people have spent all this money on me and have kind of invested in me. When they asked me to do the second drop, I had complete sort of panic, and I had real trouble coming up with the ideas for it, because I was like a deer in headlights, and so I had real trouble coming up with that and coming up with it. So I'm just trying to just do things as they come to me and not force it, I guess.
That's awesome. I love it, the humility of just like, somebody asks you to do something and you expect, I'm going to get 20% of the cut. And then, then you getting honored in a way of like, no, you're actually like the real deal. Yeah. We appreciate you. We love you, dude. Here's 80% of it. And then like it gets, sold out. And like you described the deer in headlights, it's just kind of like, well, what? And now I guess feeling a sort of obligation or responsibility, I got to make this. I got to make the next one good because now people, like, I have eyes on me. I have more eyes on me than I did before.
Exactly. And that's what I kind of like made me panic doing the next set. And then I've just tried to, the works I've created since, I've just tried to, put that bit much more time into and effort into, and not that I didn't put effort into it before, but going that extra step.
Right. And you can totally see that from, is it called like the volume builder and mesher with the walking?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
What do you call that series?
First steps.
I
like that.
Right. Those are so cool.
They
like
are
the first
cool.
time I saw that, I was like, whoa, like holy shit. Like, is he putting this on, putting this on Nifty? Do I need to be on the lookout for this? Like, cause that was legit. Like I saw that on my feed and I was like, bookmark.
Yeah. So after doing those drops for Nifty Gateway, I kind of, that's when I got into Maker's Place. Mm-hmm. They had contacted me, but they were someone that contacted me a long time ago, and I kind of thought, oh, this sounds like a scam.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, that's what most artists thought. Yeah. Like, I was talking to some other guys, and they were like, "Yeah, we just blew it off."
Yeah. So I was like, I just didn't even reply to the email, I don't think. And then they emailed me again, and I thought, actually, I think this is like a legit thing.
Nice.
So I was doing more research at that point into it all as well, like what was out there, who are all these people, and then getting involved with them. That's been quite good. It's quite good actually. I've quite liked on Maker's Place. You kind of have followers and things on there as well. So you can kind of see. What I've liked is making personal connections with people that have bought the work. They'll reach out to me on Instagram or on Twitter, and to say thank you, or I'll say thank you to them for buying them. It's created a lot of like personal connections with people, which I didn't expect.
For sure, especially hopping on Discord channels and saying what up, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. So that was a bit. Yeah. So for my second set of Nifties on Nifty Gateway, I had about 6 or so that hadn't sold, which was kind of frustrating. Mm-hmm. And someone was talking about the fact that I was being talked about in Discord. So I just jumped in the Discord channel and just said hello, and it kind of started off this flurry of buying, and then all my pieces were bought, and then all my pieces were getting bought on the secondary market. And I've had some larger buyers like Illustrator, who's kind of bought some of my number one editions of pieces, which just kind of drives the value up.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Which is good for everyone. That I want the value. I want to keep making stuff. I want the value of all of this stuff to rise, so that you've got some people that obviously want to flip pieces, but some people will want to hopefully hang on to them.
Keep it.
Well,
yeah,
that's
up to them.
That's kind of like a testament to how this community is a little bit different, because it's it's interesting that people want to kind of like know the person behind the art as well. Sorry, Alexa's kind of going off right
my bad.
No, but like it's important to people even more than just the art piece is the creator behind it, and it's important to kind of like have a personal status with your work rather than just like making cool looking things. And I think that's a lot of the reason why Beeple's so prolific, like just the sheer number of things that he has done, like the 5,000 everydays or whatever it is, and just the kind of interesting, quirky guy that he is behind all of it is very it's like a mystique to his stuff, which is really important in this space.
Yeah, it's definitely about the community and like artists like yourself that are just constantly investing. And not only that, but you're doing it with it's the humility for me. For me, it's like when you started like talking about yourself, you're like, oh yeah, I'm just casually I have a company and I moved over to the US and I just made a bunch of tutorials and that helped thousands of people out. And I'm like, Perry, dude, I was watching you like a lot just to get some knowledge of just cinema 4D. And so that's what I really appreciate is that ego's the enemy.
Yeah.
And it's great to see that this idea that, the humble artist has continued throughout, especially in this kind of crypto art space. So,
yeah. And I think everyone that I've talked to and dealt with and been on groups with in Discord and on Twitter, everyone's super friendly and everyone's really happy to exchange ideas, to talk, really big that we've actually got I've done a few pieces for this there's a Discord group called 100x art, and we're doing a launch of a district in Decentraland. Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
That's the game, right?
Yeah.
Like the VR space,
so
right?
They've kind of bought up a whole lot of collectors, and this 100x art have bought up a whole area of Decentraland, and we're having galleries, and we're going to be doing talks and then auctions of our work over this weekend. So that's kind of something brand new. I'm going to kind of jump in and see what's going on.
We're going to find out more information about
we
that.
are. So how do you, we talked about this a little bit with Tommy, and that's kind of where I started learning about this the most, but it kind of like freaks me out, but in an excited way. Just that whole thing of like going into this digital space to view digital art and have like interactions with the community with like no barriers of language or geography or anything. It's just like you're all there for one reason together, and it's something very beautiful. How do you like see that now as something like that's just super futuristic, or like what do you think about it?
Yeah, well, told me a year ago I'd be having like an art gallery showing in a game.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about?
It's pretty out there. It's pretty out there.
Yeah. And I think you can walk around in like VR and stuff as well if you want. I haven't got a VR helmet, but I'll be on my PC. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. It is pretty out there and it's pretty futuristic. But I guess, it makes more sense. It's the first art gallery I would have been to in a year.
Oh, yeah.
Locked indoors.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a perfect time to launch that, too.
Seriously.
COVID, bringing people together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that maybe that's part of the reason why
it's popping off.
This NFT is kind of, it's really benefited from the fact that people are at home and people haven't got that chance to actually go out and look at art.
Right. A perfect storm, as they say.
Yes.
Yeah, but no, Tommy was talking about like what you were saying, walking around in VR, you can have like NFT like clothing items on your avatar and stuff like that. And
like
it just
actual market.
Yeah. Like a whole thing. It's just a whole different world.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy. I've been asked to do something for another game thing, but I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it yet. But but that is again art, art within a space, and then also actual objects like clothing or 3D objects that are collectible. It's really interesting,
Very.
really interesting. Just, I've liked over my career kind of doing different things, trying things out, seeing how it works together. We like doing a mix of 3D and video and animation. And I kind of want to bring more of that into my artwork, I guess.
I noticed that change in your work because I was scrolling through everything from bottom to top, and at some point it went from 3D to mostly animation now. So what was that what was the point of that change, and do you see animation as like a more engaging, or how do you feel about it?
I think that was when I first did that, I was doing stills, and I did a couple of videos, and I was like, oh, these are getting like thousands of views and more likes. And I was like, and I know this from doing, from advertising. If people ask us like, what's more engaging, like a video piece or a still piece? Well, obviously a video.
Right.
It's going to be more engaging. People are going to look for that extra few seconds. So I think that helped, and that got me into doing those loops. I like doing the loops. It was partly down to at the time the computer I had, because I've been on Mac for the last 10 years, and so I couldn't take advantage of using something like Octane, because that you need like an NVIDIA CUDA card. So and the rendering just was taking ages, so I was just doing things that were like 2 seconds long, like 2-second loops, so it wouldn't take too long to render, and now obviously I still only do them maybe 3 or 4 seconds long, but the quality is a lot higher. You always push it. Doesn't matter how much more power you get, you still try and push it, so it still takes just as long.
Yeah. So I guess that kind of brings up an interesting question, like it bringing more engagement by being a video or being an animation. So there's like obviously a lot of psychology that goes into advertising. Do you kind of put that same mindset and perspective into your artwork?
I think so, in the way that I just try and keep it simple. Keep it simple, keep it like bold, try and have like a clear idea so people can tell what it is straight off.
Yeah, they're easy to look at.
Yeah, I try not to get too sort of bogged down and complicated. I guess I could do, and I do in some pieces, but I kind of think that more simple, bold, kind of almost like illustration type concepts kind of draw the eye. I mean, they draw my eye. I've got artwork, a couple of pieces around the room, and they're all simple. Because it draws my eye. I like graphical, simple pieces, and so I try and do things myself in the same sort of way.
Do you mean illustration like as in like the style of like comic books, like 2D with that black outline?
Yeah, maybe more just sort of like, I guess what I'm trying to say is more like a illustrative sort of piece, like just something like a static poster, something that's kind of straightforward and simple, maybe more like pop arty,
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
So that's what I kind of like doing things with, like products like the milk carton, cups, and I mean that all kind of ties in with being stuck at home as well, because I'm basically sitting thinking, what? My inspiration is currently the house.
Yeah,
amazing.
We've been talking about that a lot.
You'll see like milk cartons, cups, kettles.
Got a skateboard in there.
Teapots.
Yeah, the skateboard.
telephones. These are all things that I've got this spritzer thing. This is going to be on a series of work that's going to be on the
Wait, what is that
100x. It's for house. I broke it, but basically it's like a house. It spritz and it sprays a little bit of water.
That thing looks so fancy. It looks like a tea kettle with a
want one
button on the top.
Yeah,
Why do
the
I
thing
want
is,
one?
I mean, this is like where I like my you can get the sound effects.
Thank you.
It comes apart.
Oh,
I broke the handle off while taking it apart. It's for a piece of work I was doing. I was thinking I think that's a really interesting shape. So that's why I wanted to create it my next set of NFTs are based on this.
Right.
So I took it apart to kind of see, what does it look like on the inside, you know? And that's where I guess I get my product design background. What I wanted to do originally, I like objects.
Yeah.
I like objects. I like being able to show the inside of objects. I like kind of playing around with how they might functionally work, or I do these kind of fake. I was doing a lot of it more like a year or so ago of these loops that were all black and neon, and they were like little machines. Mm-hmm. I find them satisfying to make. That is a case where it was relaxing to make them. But it's only relaxing when you know what you want to do.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
When you sit down in front of the computer and you're like looking at a blank screen, you think, I've got no idea what I'm going to do.
Right.
Yeah.
I think you could tell that throughout basically what all you said, especially at the beginning of going and looking at cars to market at the very beginning of your journey, to just even looking at things around your house, taking them apart. I love that. And then just like putting it in a different light, moving it just a bit to see different perspectives. Are you like a hands-on learner? Like, is that how like you kind of interpret knowledge and get more understanding?
Yeah, I like to like with people ask me about if you're learning to build something in 3D, I always think it's good to have an actual object to start with.
Yeah.
Like, why try and take stills from things online and try and copy that when you've actually got something like this? It's a plastic packet of chewing gum, but there's actually some quite complicated hard modeling techniques. You know,
I'm guessing the hinge and the latch.
You've got the hinge and the latch, and you've got all of these little details around the edge.
Yeah.
This shape, you know. So I like taking things that are around me and trying to recreate them. I mean, that is something I like doing for fun.
Well, that's fascinating because it makes you, and we have talked about this in the past before, when you're in that like 3D space, it makes you, when you come out of it to the real world, we talked about this with, good catch. Jimmy just dropped his mic, but he got it.
Mic drop.
Mic drop, yeah.
Nice.
He's sick of it. No, but we were talking about with Fabian, the Dizzy Viper, about how like he'll go outside and notice something about the real world and think of like, how would I do that in Octane, or how would I do this in Cinema 4D? And it makes you appreciate real life even more, and it makes you look at things a little bit closer and appreciate them.
Definitely. And then that's, you know, a lot of, I'm looking forward to being able to everything go back to normal again once we're all vaccinated. But seeing those kind of shapes in real life and then thinking about how you might do something like that. Like I saw, there's a guy called Ark that posts work on Instagram and Twitter. He does really, really nice stuff. And he posted something the other day saying that the only reason he'd done it is just because he just zoomed in, he just wanted to create this little hinge.
Wow.
He had in his head, he wanted to do the hinge, and then the rest of the work come from that. And I totally understand that, of like thinking, I really want to model this one thing. How am I going to kind of crowbar that into like a piece, you know?
Yeah.
Well, that's because you just feel like you've got it in your head. You just need to get it out.
Yes.
That's exactly what he said. That's what Fabian said. He was like, I have stuff in my head that I don't know how to get out. And that's that's where your most creative works come from. Like you think of one thing and you're like, okay, how do I do that? And then the rest of it, is built around it, and then you end up with something that's a whole, and you're like, wow, that's pretty amazing. And then when other people think that it's also amazing, that's when it becomes pretty prolific and amazing.
Yeah.
It's like we're all connected, like a mind sync,
That's right.
Especially
the 3D hive mind.
The 3D hive mind.
That's what this is.
Who's the queen bee? Who's the queen bee?
Queen people. It's got to be. I don't know.
Of course.
Queen people.
We're all people's people.
Yeah, we are.
That's great.
That is great.
Do you have any more questions?
Dude, I've exhausted all of my questions.
I'm so like I'm just kind of like marinating in the information, especially when you started talking about old school stuff and you started talking about like CD-ROM. I was like, yo, back to basics.
For real.
That's awesome. Those are like the building blocks though.
Yeah, no, and it's cool to actually hear you talk about that. And that's what was fascinating me when you were talking about your university experience as well, is like you were in this before anyone even realized what this was. And then now you're reaping the benefits 20 years later. I don't know. It's just amazing.
And it's an incredible.
Yeah, it was.
Go ahead.
It was kind of it just reminded me. I remember when I went to that film festival. We had made up because we had CD burners in our PCs, and we had business card size CDs. So it was square, or like rectangular, like a business card. But on the back, it actually had
like a PSP.
A writable area of like a CD writable area, so you could burn like your portfolio or whatever onto this and hand it out.
Wow.
And I guess the equivalent today of like a USB stick,
That's legit.
Wow.
That is so dope.
The more you know. I've never heard of this square rectangular CD.
I
know. I'm really showing my age.
I think that's a great thing, because when I got into Cinema 4D, I got on it was R19 or R20, but it was whenever they released the volume builder and mesher, and so I had no idea the power, just because I was introduced to it as like that was the first thing one of the first things I saw. I had no idea the power of it. But for people who have been working, with hard surface modeling for forever, and then realizing, I can use voxels to create, like a fake mesh. And
I don't know why other people don't use it as much. I mean, I feel like someone said to me, why would I do it like this if I could do it, the hard, like I did a tutorial, I can't remember what it was, and I created it. And let me go back. I know what it was. It was.
Let's go back.
Go back. I did one about an egg cup.
Yes.
Making an egg cup. And
right.
So someone said, why would you do the egg cup as a volume builder when you could just do it as a spline and lathe it? You could just do the outline of the egg cup and lathe it. But I did it using the volume builder. And the reason I did it was because I thought, and I got reminded of this by a cartoon I saw the other day, the one where it's got two circles, it says how to draw an owl. It says draw two circles. Then step 2, draw the rest of the fucking owl.
Yeah, the details. Add details, yes.
So for the egg cup, I thought, well, it's kind of more difficult for me to say, just draw an egg cup. Because I don't know what the skill level of everyone is that's watching. So, but if I can say, right, we'll make a sphere and make that 200 wide, then we'll do a cylinder and make that 100 wide and make that a bit lower, make that 10. I can actually take you step by step through so you can follow it exactly, rather than just saying, just draw the fucking egg cup.
Right. And that's beneficial because it's more procedural for your viewers and for editing.
Exactly. The other advantage is what I love about Volume Builder is you can add in noise, or you could add in some spheres to cut chunks out of it, or you could do anything with it, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. What were we gonna say?
Yeah, they say that the best way to learn something is to teach it, or that's how you know that you've mastered something, is whenever you're able to teach other people how to do it. And so I'm just wondering, does that help you a lot, Like, do you realize new things as you're teaching people how to do it?
Yeah, because like I wouldn't say I'm a master at it. Definitely not. I'm still learning, and it's like I think 3D is an ongoing process.
It's an ongoing battle.
It's one of these things I think is easy to get into and hard to master because there's always something else, or you'll see something and think, why did I never think of that? Like, why didn't I think of that? Or like, how to do that? But when I started doing the tutorials, I started thinking, oh, you know what? I don't even know what that button's called. You know?
Oh, yeah.
I know to press that button to do this thing, but I don't think I've ever said it out loud, you know, because it's all in your head.
Right.
So, it did make me kind of think, oh, exactly where is everything? How do I put these things together? It's definitely a lot of work. Doing the tutorials is the hardest thing of all the things I do, I think, because I really have to plan it out, you know. And like I did a tutorial series for NVIDIA.
Oh, okay.
That's dope.
It was like a 10-part series, and that's on their channel. And for that, I did this whole factory, did all these
gears.
Things. I did.
Was it?
Pardon?
Was it like the letter D and it had all the gears and?
Oh no, that was something I did for Acer computers.
Oh, right. Okay. My bad.
For Concept D.
Yes.
That one was kind of more of an open brief. It was like, we want you to do a D, but you can be anything you want, basically. But with NVIDIA, it was this 10-part series. Each part was like half an hour. So it's quite long.
Yeah.
And for something like, and what I have to do to create these tutorials is I'll make the whole thing first and then try and make notes as I go, and then have to go back over the whole thing and just say, and build it again, knowing what I'm doing, you know. So it's quite a labor intensive task. It does, however long you think it's going to take, it's like takes twice as long.
Yeah,
I have a lot of respect for that, and for people to do that. So, and thank you, Perry.
Same here. A lot of appreciation.
I've been slacking lately. I've been slacking on the tutorials.
Dude, you're good, man. You're good. You're working hard. We appreciate you. We know it's going to be good when it comes out, okay?
Yeah. No, just like we said earlier, as long as it comes back at some point, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I will get back into it. It's just comes down to like what's on, you know, like how busy I am at the time.
Sure.
And you have to set aside, I would say, even for like a tutorial that's like 20 minutes, I probably have to set aside half the day to do it. I think people think you sit down and just press record and that's it.
No.
That's how people think a lot of things go, especially in this community. Like an outsider looking into it. I say this all the time. They just scroll past Instagram. They see it like, oh, that looks neat. And they double tap it and they keep scrolling. And they don't give it another thought of like, man, someone probably really labored over this and probably scrapped it 5 times and redid it. So there is a lot of appreciation in what you're doing.
Yeah, it's like 3-layered because with 3D art, you're taking artistical. Is that a word?
Definitely not. But we'll go with it.
It sounded almost rude when you said
You're right. You're taking the artist side of things, the composition and color and what have you, and then you're also taking the technical side of things and you're combining it with 3D art. But when you're making a tutorial about that, you're having those two, plus you're incorporating a story with it because there's a narrator and you're explaining things. So it's like this trident. I don't know what I'm making with my hands. I don't know what this is.
Man, you're just flipping them off.
It's this.
You can't see what he's just done, but it's equally as rude as what he just did.
It is. It's this trident that I don't know that you just gotta like attack it with, you know. And it's like it's so much work, like Matthew was saying, and people don't really see that, and so. I don't make tutorials, but I try to, you know, get my 3D art in there sometimes, and I'm so just grateful. I think gratitude is probably the best word that I have for people like you, giving out the knowledge. So thanks,
I'm pleased that people, everyone seems pretty positive about it. I haven't really had many negative pieces of feedback.
Good.
People seem pretty positive about it, which is good. And I think the way I treat tutorials when I watch other people's is, right, this is like a jumping off point. And that's what I try and say to people when they ask me about what I'm doing. Like, I'm trying to give you this technique, how to do this thing. Now, you don't have to do, what you should be able to do is take this technique and use it for something else. You don't have to do what I did in this tutorial, you know?
Yes.
And that's what I do when I see other people's tutorials. I watch it and I'll start off following along. And then as I follow along, I'll be like, oh, what about if it was this instead, or
Yes.
whatever. So it's kind of like a jumping off point, I feel like. I think some people maybe follow along absolutely exactly. There's no problem with doing that, because I do that as well. But I like seeing it as it's a starting point, you know?
Yeah.
Trying to give you just like if it's something you don't know, it's giving you that skill that you can then take off in another direction.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you can watch tutorials all day and copy every single one and not have learned a thing, but it's more important to take at least one element from that tutorial and use it to create something else. That's a lot more beneficial in the long run.
I know the value that I get is from the words that you use when you describe things. It's because the words connect with what's happening on the screen and in my mind. So it's like, okay, I know surface brightness, or I know the I guess for Octane, like one of the cameras, I know the cutoff. It's gonna clamp on, you know, how bright the bloom is. So it's kind of like that. Once you know what, I guess, cutoff means and what in the context of that realm, then you can actually apply it to future work and be like, oh, that's the cutoff. You know, that's what I use to.
Exactly.
So
exactly, and that's where what I've felt from kind of learning from other people, the same sort of thing is taking that knowledge and then using it in either everyday's. Well, that's what I do sometimes. Watch a tutorial and turn it into like a set of my own everyday pieces, just to try and expand on something I've seen or something I've learned, and see what else I can do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a little bit of knowledge can go a long, long way. For sure.
Oh, definitely.
Well, I want to call back to something that you said before we started the show, that if Patrick 4D is Jimmy's 3D dad, you're
Perry
Jimmy's
Cooper is
3D granddad.
You're my hey granddad.
So thank you so much for being on the episode today. Do you have anything that you want to plug, shout out? What's coming up?
Yeah.
What's new for Perry Cooper?
I don't know. I think, and but that's a good thing, you know.
is.
I don't know what's coming up next.
Each
You know,
day is a
I've kind of got
surprise.
my own work on with my company, but things seem to be changing week to week at the moment. You know,
that's for
with all
sure.
of this crypto art stuff and this whole other world opening up. It just means there's kind of all sorts of exciting things popping off all over the place. So it's kind of exciting to be involved.
That is an oddly bright note. That is that's a nice thing to leave on. I
love.
We don't know what's coming up next, but we know it's going to be good.
Yeah, go follow Perry Cooper at Perry Cooper _ Is that 2 underscores?
2 underscores.
2 underscores Perry 2 underscores Cooper. Instagram, Twitter, everywhere. Go check out his
on
stuff.
TikTok.
You're on TikTok? Oh no.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Oh no.
I just post my renders on TikTok. I don't dance or anything, which is probably why I haven't got any followers.
Yeah, I don't know. You may need to change that up a little bit.
Yeah.
Do a little jig or something.
Yeah, do something. We'll be on the lookout for that. But yeah, follow his TikTok. That's the most important one.
Thank you so much, Perry, for coming on, man.
Thank you. Oh, and remember,
Cheers. Thanks, guys.
we're not networking. We're making friends.
Boom.
That's it.
That's it. Guys, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. It means a lot. Perry, Mr. Perry Cooper, thank you for coming on, dude. Thanks for coming on and chilling with us and chatting. And I hope you had a fun time, because we definitely had a great time. And everybody, if you missed where to find him and you want to check out his stuff and what he's up to, and you missed it in the show, be sure to check the show notes. Matthew works pretty hard on those guys, so definitely click the link, and I hope you have just a great freaking day, dude.